this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
With no fees or minimums on checking accounts, it's no wonder that Capital One Bank Guy is so passionate about banking with Capital One. If he were here, he wouldn't just tell you about no fees or minimums. He'd also tell you about how Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist with your banking needs. Yep, even on weekends. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bankguy. Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
Introducing the all-new Mazda CX-5, featuring more connection.
Hey Google, where's the nearest Pilates class?
Safety that has your back. More discovery on the scenic routes. More passion in the details. And more control in changing weather. The all-new Mazda CX-5. More to move every side of you. See it in 5 films at MazdaUSA.com/5sides.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC. Sequences shortened and simulated.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know from HowStuffWorks.com.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Clark, and there's Charles W. Chuck Bryant, and there's Jerry over there. And this is Stuff You Should Know. I don't know what edition this is. It's a good one, though, I predict.
Yeah, I didn't know much about this, so I was when I found it, I was like, "Wow, this is right up our alley."
Yeah, this is part of what's very frequently called a hidden history of World War I. This is not something that a lot of people have known about for very long, although it seems to be picking up kind of academic interest. Mm-hmm. But this idea of people who were disfigured in the war, suffered facial disfigurements.
Yeah.
And I should say, I want to say now before at the outset, facial differences is the preferred term.
Right.
And there's like a whole sea change going on in perception, and, you know, just being out there with facial differences. Mm-hmm. That's like the antithesis of what we're about to talk about.
Right.
So hats off to that. But this was a time when there was a huge sudden uptick in facial disfigurements, is what they call them, from being at war.
Yeah, I mean, World War I was a brand new war. The Industrial Revolution brought on new horrific ways to kill people.
Like the machine gun?
The machine gun.
Mortar shells?
In trench warfare, they point out in both of these articles that I read that the soldiers at the time still didn't have a full understanding of just what machine gun meant.
Right.
And that you don't have time to go poke your head above the trench and look real quick. Like, those bullets are faster than you.
Right. You're not
you
just
will get
dodging,
a face full of them.
Right. And you're not dodging one bullet. There's a bunch of them coming. So
yeah.
Maybe you get out of the way of one, but there's 3 more headed your way too.
Yeah. So there wasn't, I mean, it sounds weird to think of that now, but there was not that full understanding. And a lot of men in World War I had a lot of bad things happen to their face.
Yeah, so not just from machine gun fire, from sticking their head up above a trench, but also from those mortar shells.
Yeah, artillery.
They've been around for a little while, but they, just prior to World War I, had really been perfected into like really destructive instruments. They blew up and they created a totally different type of wound than a bullet hole does, because they're jagged pieces of metal, iron, steel, and they could, say, tear your lower jaw completely off.
Yeah.
Take off half of your face. Like, they just did all sorts of really weird, horrible things. And that advancement in weaponry, I guess you'd call it, combined with some advancements in battlefield emergency medicine, so that...
saving lives.
Yeah. So that there were worse wounds than ever before, but the potential of surviving a wound like that was also greater than ever before, which culminated in a huge uptick in people whose faces had been disfigured by either bullets or shrapnel, more than anyone had ever seen before, as far as numbers went.
Yeah, there are a couple of doctors in these articles that have quotes, and one of them talked about, like, we didn't see a broken bone. We saw bones that were just shattered.
Right.
At the time, I think another quote talked about the weaponry was outpacing medicine.
Yeah.
And like you said, they were maybe able to save lives more.
Right.
But it was outpacing like, well, now what do we do?
Right.
We don't have the means to do facial reconstruction like they will in the future.
And in a very weird but also really real way, World War I pushed reconstructive surgery to advance by
Big
leaps
time.
and bounds, just by all of a sudden having a bunch of people to practice on and try new techniques on, but also having to do that all of a sudden, rather than slowly taking your time. It was like, no, you need to figure this out now. And a lot of surgical techniques advanced, but a lot of people point to World War I as like kind of the dividing line between anything that came before as far as plastic surgery goes and modern plastic surgery. Really started in World War I. But people have been doing stuff as far as plastic surgery goes for more than 1,000 years before World War I. Or no, about almost 3,000 years. 2,500? 3,500. 3,500 years at least. That's as far as I'm going.
I'm the worst at figuring out time spans over centuries, as you know.
Yeah.
That's why I never do it.
You always leave it to me.
I usually just say the year, and so you're like, you can figure it out how long ago that was.
There you go.
But about 1600 BCE is when we have evidence on paper or papyri of actual repairing things on the face like that and suturing things on the face. I believe there was a Hindu doctor named Susrata who developed the first rhinoplasty.
Yeah, because in India, especially during this time, like I think this is
500 BCE.
So about 2,500 years ago. If you were caught stealing, you would get your nose lopped off. You could also get it lopped off in war. And it happened frequently enough that it was an Indian doctor at that time who created the technique of like building a new nose.
Your nose could also just fall off if it was the 1700s and you had syphilis.
Yes.
Can you imagine something like that?
No, syphilis sounds awful. I mean, it would drive you crazy. It'd attack your spine.
Yeah.
But there were also these necrotic lesions called gummas. Mm-hmm. Isn't that an awful name for something that eats your face away? A gumma?
Yes.
Oh, I got a new gumma today. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
But it would eat your nose clear off. It would eat your eye out of its socket. It would eat your mouth away. And the prevalence of syphilis actually was something that kind of pushed plastic surgery along as well.
Yeah, they started experimenting with skin grafting in the early 1800s. Mm-hmm. The term plastic surgery didn't actually come about until the 1800s. But they were, I can't imagine the results were great, but they were leading the way all over the world with some things like skin grafts and plastic surgery, very rudimentary and crude, but it did pave the way.
Yeah, they were figuring out techniques, but again, they didn't have something like World War I to push things forward. They had syphilis, which is something, but they had like cleft palates was one. That was a surgery that had been not perfected or anything like that, but it was a surgery you'd frequently see if you were a surgeon. You might be asked to do. But World War I, again, just brought on a drove of totally different cases that no one had ever seen before. So they had to get clever. And there were a couple of people who kind of came to the fore just as far as the plastic surgery went. There was a guy from New Zealand named Gillies. What was his first name, Chuck?
Mickey? You knew I was going to say that, right?
Yeah.
No, his name was Sir Harold Gillies.
Yeah.
There were a few people. There were, and we'll talk about all of them kind of as we go here. But Sir Harold Gillies, there was a gentleman named Frances Derwent Wood, and then there was a woman named Anna Coleman Ladd.
Right.
And they all contributed greatly to this new cause of this really, really sad cause of these men coming home with these really terrible things that have happened to their face. And not only like I'm shunned by society, but like my kids can't look at me.
Right.
My wife wants to leave me. And some of these soldiers are like, and she rightfully should want to leave me. Like, how can she even look at me?
Right.
And it was just such an awful thing to have to live with. And they all chipped in to, I call them war masks, basically, like these wound masks. And they would make, and if you see the pictures of these, it's amazing. These before and after photos, they would make masks, and we'll get into the nitty gritty, but essentially masks to cover these, what they called then disfigurements, whether it was a missing eye, a missing nose, the lower half of your jaw. So it wouldn't be something you wore over your entire face. It would just be the part that they needed.
Right. So initially it was, we can advance plastic surgery, and that's where Harold Gillies came in. He founded a hospital at Sidcup, which is outside of London from what I understand. And it was that was where you would go if you were British to get your to get plastic surgery. And you could go stay there for like 2 years, basically getting a series of surgery and a series of surgery, just one after the other, recovering new surgery. And if they couldn't quite do it, they would send you over to Francis Derwent Wood, who we'll talk about in a second. But there were limits to plastic surgery. And when plastic surgery reached its limits, and I guess the soldier's face was still disfigured to the point where he didn't feel like he could return to society, or society was like, nah, you stay over there, then Francis Derwent Wood and Anna Coleman Ladd came into play.
Yeah, he wrote, Gillies wrote, and he pioneered a lot of work that they still say is still important to modern plastic surgery. And he ended up writing a book. And he was the guy that said, before this, we were doing things like cleft palates, and all of a sudden we were getting 2,000 patients a day coming in with the most horrific injuries you could imagine.
Yeah. And
he ended up writing a book called Plastic Surgery of the Face. And if you look at this book, and this article rightfully points out, it really demonstrates how far they had come and what they were able to do, but also what they weren't able to do at the same time.
Yeah.
Like their limitations, even though he was doing, for the time, really, really advanced work.
Yeah, I mean, stuff where like you cut out a piece of skin and sew it to another part of your skin so that there's blood flow, and then you cut off where it was originally connected and then sew that part down. And basically you just inchworm skin down the face to where you want it. Like they were figuring out things like you have to keep a blood supply going or else it's going to just rot and fall off. Like really advanced stuff. And like in a lot of cases, they were able to restore the soldier's face basically back to, or some close similarity to what it was prior to the injury. But again, there were plenty of them where it was just like, we can't do anything for you, man. And that's when they would go. That it was when those cases started to build up, Francis Derwent Wood and Anna Coleman Ladd stepped in.
Should we take a break?
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break right now.
Hey everybody, we're here to talk to you about Wayfair, who believes that spaces should be functional, they should be comfortable, they should be well-designed, and they can be well-designed by you with their help.
Your updated space should feel more comfortable, inviting, and practical for everyday use. And we're talking about outdoor seating. We're talking about grills. We're talking about major appliances. If you need storage solutions, Wayfair can help you out. Patio lighting, rugs, decor. It is your one-stop shop for home.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting nice out, so it's time to think about living outdoors for the next few months. And Wayfair knows that outdoor furniture, it's heavy, it's intimidating to assemble. So Wayfair has stepped in and said, we're going to handle the hard part so you don't have to.
That's right. You can shop Wayfair Verified, your shortcut to the good stuff. And that means their team of product specialists are going to vet everything by hand using a 10-point inspection, testing things like, quality materials, functionality and features, and even how long it takes to build that piece of furniture. And the overall experience save time, reduce hassle, and improved convenience.
Patio season is here, and these deals won't last. So head to wayfair.com right now to get your outdoor space ready for way less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home. Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful, it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
So one thing I want to mention real quick is I don't think we talked about was outside Sidcup or in Sidcup where Gillies had his hospital. There were so many men coming through there. They had in the town they had certain benches painted where they painted blue.
Yeah.
And if there was a bench painted blue, it was sort of for lack of a better word, a warning to society. Like, here's where these patients will be sitting, and you might want to not sit there and look at them.
Right.
It was like a horrible thing to do, but it was just sort of emblematic of like what these men had to go through. Like children terrified in public of these people. Like they wouldn't put mirrors in these hospitals.
Well, yeah, and it was supposedly an enormous shock.
Sure.
To see yourself. I can't even imagine it. Like I can't imagine what it would be like to see your face like missing major features because and this was a recurring theme that I saw in a lot of the like academic coverage of this is like on the one hand what these people were doing was like really great and noble and they were trying to help these people regain their identity, but at the other it's kind of like what does it say about society that like these people couldn't come back because they were missing like an eye or a mouth or something like that, you know? It's
right, like stay in your house.
Right.
Like I don't want my kid to see this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a complicated thing going on here. It's complex. It's not just cut and dry. Like that was wrong. This guy was missing a face. Got to have a face. They made him a mask to cover up his deformity.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that, you know?
I mean, we're at a place now where we're making great strides in acceptance of stuff like this. But imagine, it's still bad. Imagine what it was like back then.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie Wonder?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
What is it?
So sweet. It's like about a little boy with facial differences and him going from homeschool to school.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
It's heartbreakingly sweet.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson's his dad.
Of course
doing his Owen Wilson thing. Julia Roberts plays his mom. She does great. It's a great movie worth seeing. But yeah, there's a whole movement going on. I follow this account. I think they're might be British, called Changing Faces. And they're all just like out and proud. Like, this is my face. Like, I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to do anything about it. You know, let's move from there.
Yeah.
And it's neat. It's neat to see just that change, that huge shift from you go stay over here out of society. Like, society doesn't really feel like it can ask that of people any longer. Whereas before it was like, my wife can't even look at me. She's repulsed by me and she deserves to be. That's a huge change, you know, and I think that's wonderful.
Well, and it was also the same time where you would where a Kennedy would get lobotomized and stuffed in a insane asylum forever.
Yeah.
Never to be talked about again.
Right.
Or, you know, people committed family members. Like, it was a dark time for humanity.
Yes.
And we're just now coming out of it a little bit. Well, we've come a long way since then, obviously, but it's just amazing how much of this stuff still goes on. Sad. Should we talk about the masks?
Oh, yeah. So if Harold Gillies couldn't do anything for you, you would move on to Francis Derwent Wood, who is an artiste, if there ever was one.
Yes. So he had a shop called the Tin Noses Shop.
Yeah, he didn't call it that.
He didn't?
I don't know. He may have facetiously, but it was the Tommies, the wounded British soldiers, who called it that.
Yeah, Tin, as in you don't have a nose, here's one made of tin.
Right.
So, yeah, they called it the Tin Noses Shop.
Yeah, but the official name was the Masks for Facial Disfigurement Department.
Yes.
And it was founded by Francis Derwent Wood, who he was, like I said, he was an artist, and he enlisted as a private in the medical corps at age 44.
Yeah, which is obviously, especially back then, kind of old to do something like that.
Yeah.
He found pretty quickly that he didn't get a great duty. He was he described it as errand boy chores, and he had a knack, though. He was an artist, so he had a knack for coming up with some pretty ingenious things. At first, it was splints that were apparently pretty creative and sophisticated.
And then those chattering teeth that just made everybody laugh. Those are his.
Why was that ever a thing?
I don't know.
Was that supposed to be funny?
I guess.
Look at those teeth chatter.
70s.
I guess so. That was in the Pet Rock, which, by the way, I want to do a show on that.
Is there a show's worth of material, or is that like a short stuff, you think?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, that's a nice tease. Maybe we'll come up with a third podcast called Somewhere in Between Stuff.
It's exactly 23 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, he was doing errand boy stuff, had a lot of creativity. I guess he caught the eye of the people there. And as an artist, they said, you know what, you could actually be very useful in constructing this kind of new idea, which are these, and again, this is what they called them back then, like disfigurement masks.
Right. They had prosthetics before, facial prosthetics, but they were made of rubber.
They weren't very good.
Aesthetically, they were utilitarian.
Yeah.
They were meant to maybe help you chew again if you were missing your lower jaw.
Yeah.
Whatever. They were meant to solve the problem of the missing function. This is the opposite of that.
Yeah, this is cosmetic, I guess you would call
Very
it.
much so.
Yeah.
Aesthetic, cosmetic. Francis Derwent Wood said, I'm not trying to restore function. That's not the point of what I'm doing. What I'm doing is restoring identity. Somebody put it that he was making portraits out of metal.
Yeah,
and
they
then,
called them portrait masks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then putting them on to the person to basically restore their look back to what it was pre-war.
Yes, and they were also very intent at Wood's shop of treating these men with dignity and respect. I think one of the nurses even talked about how beautiful a face without a nose was.
She was a sculptor.
Was she?
Yeah, it was Kathleen Scott, who was the widow of Robert Falcon Scott, who died in Antarctica on an expedition. But she was a sculptor who helped out. And was like, these are people still, and they're beautiful in their own way.
Yeah, her quote was, men without noses are very beautiful, like antique marbles.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, all of us have seen antique marbles all the time, so you know exactly what she meant.
They also said at Wood Shop to always look a man straight in the face.
Yeah.
Remember, he's watching your face to see how you're going to react. So it started when they first would come in there with being treated like a human being,
right?
Which really is great.
Yep.
So he would establish his unit in March 1916. And by June of the following year, he appeared in the Lancet, the great legendary British medical journal that's still around today. And then eventually, toward the end of 1917, there was a Boston-based sculptor in the United States, obviously, and her previously to being married, she was Anna Coleman Watts, and she was very talented as a sculptor, and eventually married a man named Maynard Ladd, who was a physician, and he moved to France with him because he got a gig with the Red Cross. Yeah,
he was like the injured children's corps leader, something like that.
Man, what a thing to do.
And yeah, so they moved to France, and she found out what Francis Derwent Wood was doing back in England, and she's like, I'm going to try that here. So with the Red Cross, she set up something called the Studio for Portrait Masks. in Paris in the Latin Quarter, and she went to work doing the same thing. Again, this is all pioneering stuff. Like, these people were making this up as they went along. There were a couple of trained sculptors who during the war, turned their talents to restoring facial identity to men whose faces had been disfigured by shrapnel and bullets.
Yeah, and by all accounts, the Ladd studio was very much the same way of like trying to set them up for success as humans and treating them with dignity. Her place in the Latin Quarter was very beautiful. It was described as a large, bright studio, plants and ivy on the walls and flowers everywhere. And she wanted to make it like, I think it's significant that these were artists and not from the medical establishment.
Right.
Because they wanted to set up these beautiful places for these men to come and feel good about what's going on there. And I think at the time, like, hospitals were grim.
Oh, yeah.
And any kind of treatment you got was just, I mean, we've talked a lot about old medicine. It was not a sunny experience in any way.
Then those horrid, like, wicker wheelchairs that are the creepiest things anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, so Ladd tried to set up a really lovely, cheery, welcoming space for her patients to come in, which is just great.
And there's newsreel footage from that era of Ladd working in her studio with one of her patient clients. I don't know what you'd call him.
Yeah.
But I think he's missing a substantial part of his lower face, maybe his lower jaw. And she attaches the prosthetic, the mask, and like tucks it behind his ears, like it hangs on behind his ears, right?
Yeah.
And it's the neatest thing. Like, he smiles. Like, he goes from not sad but neutral, but then all of a sudden he smiles, and it's like it was a warm, genuine smile. And it's really moving because you can read about all this like we did all you want. And like, oh, here's this quote from this person, and this person said this was an amazing thing too, and here's a letter somebody wrote. But seeing that guy smile, when Anna Coleman Ladd puts the prosthetic on his face, it says it all. Like, it all comes into focus what everybody in the articles are talking about. Yeah,
and there are a lot of great before and after photos of the, and we'll get in, in a few minutes on how they made these things, but there are a lot of great before and after photos. And when you look at these, because initially in 2018, you think about, well, these people had a horrific thing happen to their face, and so now they wear a mask like attached by either eyeglasses or hooked over their ears to mesh with the rest of their face. And your first thought is like, how unbelievable did that look? But when you look at these photos, they look really good, and you can only imagine that just that sense of normalcy, for lack of a better word, meant so much to these men.
Yeah, even covering it up, not fixing it, but just covering it up enough to blend in. Yeah, I think is what they were looking for.
Pretty extraordinary.
Yeah. You want to take another break?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to take a break, everybody. We just decided. I don't know if you heard or not. And here we go.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful, it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
On eBay, every find has a story. Like if you're looking for a vintage band tee, not just a tee, the band tee from the last show your favorite band ever played. You wore it everywhere. Then your girlfriend started wearing it, which was cute, until she dumped you and took it with her, which was not so cute.
Yeah, well, anyway, now you're on eBay. And there it is. Same tee from the same tour. Still living in your memory, rent-free forever.
See, the things you love have a way of finding their way back to you. But eBay isn't just for getting whatever your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend stole back, right?
No, it's also for that rare championship foul ball you caught, then heroically gave to the kid next to you. And where else are you going to find your first car? The one you wish you'd never sold. But now, finally get the chance to take it back home. For good this time.
So shop eBay for millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
All right, so let's talk about how these masks were made. Again, they were revolutionary. These people were making it up as they were going along, but they hit upon it pretty well right out of the gate. And one of the big differences was that these weren't rubber prosthetics that were meant to restore function. They were metal masks that were meant to restore identity.
Yeah, and a little dignity maybe.
Yeah.
So the first thing would happen is Ladd or whoever's working on this, because they all Ladd and Wood both had people they worked with on their teams. So the first thing they would do is get a photo, obviously, more than one photo of pre-war and what they look like, because the whole thing is I don't want to make you look like you looked before, not just, well, let me just fashion you a nose.
Sure.
It's like I want your nose to look like your old nose.
Right.
And so they would get these photos. The people, the patients and soldiers would have to heal completely in order to undergo this process at all. Like it's not the kind of thing they could do, as they're healing. And so they made a plaster cast. And then after that, they would make what's called a squeeze, which is like a clay version of that cast.
Right.
And then eventually that would end up in a galvanized copper mask about the thickness of like a playing card.
Right. And the plaster cast that they would make of your face was supposedly just an awful, awful process.
Sure.
Like they would give you a little straw to put in your mouth, and like that's how you breathed for as long as they took to make the plaster cast.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
It'd be bad anyway, but after you've suffered that trauma
right.
to your face, I imagine anything near or around your face would be really disconcerting.
Yeah. And let's talk about that. What led up to that? First of all, you were shot in the face or hit with shrapnel in the face. Sometimes you would be laying there if you went down in no man's land for hours, days before somebody came and got you. You were taken to a field hospital and then flown over to England or driven over to England or by boat. Be quiet, everybody. Or taken to Paris. And you underwent possibly 2 years of surgical reconstruction. And then finally, once all your surgeries were healed, you would find yourself in Mrs. Ladd's studio or Francis Derwent Wood's studio getting plaster coated over your disfigured face, holding a little straw in your mouth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was probably not the greatest thing that they've ever experienced. It was probably tied for first with a couple of those other ones along the way for being terrible.
Yeah, and like you said, this is after noble but not great result attempts at, doing it the plastic surgery way.
Right.
So these people are desperate. If you've gone in there to get a portrait mask, that's your last stop.
Yeah.
To try and resume, your previous life, basically.
Sure.
Or as close as you can get to it.
That's a big caveat.
All right. So if you had facial hair, if you had a mustache, which a lot of men did back then, they would use real hair and add that into the mask. I think it took her about a month to make one of these. Yeah,
I don't know if you said or not, but she was credited as by far being the better artist. Like the results were
really talented.
Much better coming out of the Ladd studio than out of the Wood studio.
Yeah.
But he was faster and more prolific.
Yeah, he had a lot more, I think he served a lot more patients. In the end, I believe her shop was only open about a year, and with 4 assistants, created 185 masks, which, again, in the grand scheme of things, is not very many people, but changed all of those lives.
Right. So they're from the plaster cast. You said they made a squeeze. A cast is a negative. The squeeze is a positive. And then they would use the squeeze as the model for making the cast or the mask that they needed.
Yeah.
And then they would cast it into copper.
Yeah.
1/32 of an inch thick. And then, like you said, it would attach by spectacles or around the ear. And Mrs. Ladd, you said she used hair?
Yeah. But
Wood used, he painted his on.
Yeah. So when you go to look up these photos, they'll have the before and after. And on the left, it's sometimes you can't even tell what this man might have previously looked like.
Oh, man.
Until you look at the right.
Yeah.
And then it looks, it's a mask, but you're like, you can tell that that's what this guy looked like.
And it's it really is true, the loss of identity that must happen, or must have happened, at least back then. And I'm sure now too, where if you undergo a facial trauma, it's amazing how drastically it can change how you look. Your face. It just changes from what it was before. When you see some of the before pictures, so before the injury, then after the injury, and then after the mask, that before the injury and then after the injury picture, sometimes you're like, how? I don't see that person in there at all.
Yeah.
So, I can imagine, like we said, they kept mirrors out of the ward because seeing yourself like that, especially if you were in the process of undergoing surgery, I'm sure they were like, you don't need to see this at all, buddy. Just let us keep working on you, Yeah,
one of the tougher parts of this process too, and also most important, was matching the skin tone.
Right.
So obviously if you have a mask that doesn't look like your other, skin tone on the rest of your face, then it's going to stand out more, and your whole point was to blend in. So she would save that for last and actually fit the mask on the man and paint it while it was on their face so she could match it as exactly as possible.
Right.
I think used a couple of different oil paints at first. Didn't work out.
Yeah, they chipped.
Yeah, and then landed on enamel, which is – and these things still, we should say it's not like it would last 20 years.
No.
They were – it's a mask you wear every day, so it would get beat up over the years. And, wear and tear happened for sure.
One of the other things with the paint, too, is apparently the hue was really difficult because on, an overcast day, it might look really lifelike, but then that same hue in sunlight looked like dead. So they had to, kind of split the difference between the two. So from what I saw, the paint, getting the complexion right was the hardest part for sure. But, those masks supposedly had a life expectancy of just about a couple of years. But the thing is after the war, Wood's studio closed down, and so did Ladd's. And so these men, that was it. They got their mask. It was almost like this weird little pop-up that happened that went away and never came back. So these men, clung to their masks for as long as they could, and so much so that there basically aren't any of those masks. No one is like, oh, this is a World War I portrait mask.
Right.
Those are all buried with their owners because those masks became part of their public identity as well.
Yeah, I bet you there's got to be one somewhere, right?
Surely, but I think most of them are probably buried with their owners.
And these, like I said, with Ladd, only 185 masks. You were very lucky if you were able to get one of these.
Yeah.
Because there were, I believe they estimated 20,000 what they called facial casualties in World War I alone.
Right.
So out of that number, to only get 185 from the best artists working is not very many people. And
they think Francis Derwent Wood created more just because he was open longer and he was more prolific or he's faster, but they don't have a number. But even still, even if he made 3 times that, that's nothing compared to how many people have become facially disfigured from injuries, right? Yeah, and Ladd, she was lauded. She did a lot of interviews when she got back to the United States. In 1932, she was made a Chevalier. Nice touch. Is that right? Yeah. Chevalier of the French Legion of Honor. And she just went back to her her art when she got back to the United States. Yeah, this I want to say this awesome Smithsonian article by Carolyn Alexander who talks about this. Yeah, it's good. It mentions that her busts, she was a sculptor, right? Yeah. And before her work in the war and after her work in the war, it's actually really kind of generic portraits of people.
Yeah.
It lacks like the pizzazz and like the human-like touch that her actual wartime mask efforts had.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. I like her busts. I like her style. It looks weirdly like early 20th century modern.
Yeah, totally.
They're good looking.
And she died in 1939. She died young. She died at 60 in Santa Barbara. Frances Derwent Wood died also young.
55.
Yeah, 55 years old in 1926 in London. And he was remembered, obviously, post-war as well, which is great. Public monuments, war memorials, and the Machine Gun Corps in Hyde Park Corner in London is apparently where one of the most poignant war memorials for him lays.
Yeah.
Lies?
Lows.
Sits?
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, 20,000 of these injuries and only, say, several hundred of them received masks. And again, this is a time when society didn't really want you back if you were facially disfigured in the war.
So sad.
And there was an idea to basically buy some land for disfigured officers, to have them just basically go live off the land over here and have a nice pension and just stay over here. And those plans didn't come to fruition. And so they were just kind of expected to just go fade away. Just go away. We don't want to see you. In Australia, apparently they had a lot of facially disfigured soldiers returning home. A lot of them would just go out and live in the bush.
Yeah.
You know? It'd be like living in the woods in England or the U.S. Is okay, I'm going to go live in the woods now because you guys don't want to see my face anymore. And a lot of them committed suicide too, sad to say, or died of suspicious accidental deaths.
Yeah, man, like the stories where you hear about their kids being frightened of their father and stuff after the war, just heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that was supposedly a pretty recurrent anecdote in newspaper articles about these studios. Like, they're trying to save people because their own kids can't stand to be around them, you know?
Yeah, but kids even scared of the mask because, it points out is while they did so much to restore it, they were still expressionless faces,
right, sure.
Which, could creep out a kid for sure.
Yes. But we've come a long way.
Yes.
And Wonder is proof positive of that.
That's right.
Go see that movie. It's good.
I will.
If you want to know more about facial differences, go check out, just search facial differences. Check out changingfaces.org and go see Wonder. Why not? It's a good movie.
I'll check it out.
That was the second one was directed to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Since I said that, it's time for listener mail.
I'm going to call this Relative of President Pierce here.
Whoa, I'm in trouble.
Parentheses, lighthearted.
Oh, okay, good. I'm not.
Hey guys, big fan. I had a baby in August, so I've been behind on the episodes. Finally got to the new short stuff where you mentioned President Franklin Pierce, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud when I heard your disdain for the man. My baby son's middle name is actually Pierce, just like his father and every other male that was born in his family. A tradition that has stemmed since, you guessed it, Franklin Pierce became president. My husband is a great, great nephew of Pierce.
The best.
His grandmother actually still owns the presidential china. That's kind of cool.
Wow.
Every time someone finds out my husband is a descendant of a president, they get so excited, but my husband and all of his family just roll their eyes and exclaim, "Oh, he was the worst president. Everyone just remembers Lincoln anyway." It makes me laugh every time that his family doesn't think much of this man any more than the rest of the world. So just take comfort in knowing that your hate on Pierce and his faults during his time in office aren't past his own family.
Man, that's something.
I'll do my best to make sure my son makes up for it. So sad I miss your shows in Denver. Please come back. And that is sincerely from Sarah, mother of a Pierce.
Thanks, Sarah, mother of a Pierce. That was a great email.
Yeah, and we'll come back to Denver for sure, because we sold out 2 shows there. Denver loves us.
Loves us. Can't get enough of us.
The Mile High City.
Yes.
We'll be back.
If you want to get in touch with us, why don't you go ahead and mosey on over to stuffyoushouldknow.com. Check out our social links there. I also have a website called joshclarkway.com if you want to check that out too.
That's right.
And you can always send me, Jerry, and Chuck an email all at once at stuffpodcast@howstuffworks.com.
on this and thousands of other topics, visit howstuffworks.com.
When it comes to small business, people want to talk to people, not bots, not voicemail. Your customers or clients want a real human connection, and that's exactly what they get with Ruby. Ruby is the virtual receptionist company that takes care of your callers when you're unavailable, in the middle of something, or just don't want to pick up. They can answer, screen, and transfer calls, as well as take messages, collect payments, book appointments, and more, all while saving you time and making the people you serve feel special. It's available 24/7, 365 days a year, and is 100% based in the U.S. See how it works at ruby.com, or better yet, give them a call at 844-900-RUBY.
The next time you end up with something on your shirt, don't turn to your usual detergent. Check out Tide Evo. Tide Evo represents over 10 years of innovation in product development. It's a revolutionary 100% concentrated waterless laundry tile made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. It's not pods and it's not sheets. It uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging. It's mess-free, lightweight, and dissolves quickly. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.